Just-
Breaking news out of Chicago now, a deadly shooting involving an ICE officer. Homeland Security officials say it happened this morning after officers pulled over a car allegedly being driven by an undocumented immigrant. They say that the driver stopped, but then aimed his car at the officers and hit one of them before taking off and dragging that officer. DHS says the officer opened fire and killed the suspect. Our Luke Barr joins me now with more. So, Luke, what more do we know?
Well, Kira, what we know is that early this morning, just outside of Chicago, ICE officers were conducting a targeted immigration enforcement operation. But they say somebody who's in the country illegally has a history of criminal records with reckless driving. They attempted to stop that person. This person stopped initially, then they continued on, hitting an ICE officer, dragging that ICE officer, a couple of feet. And then as they were trying to, the ICE officer, according to DHS, says that they feared for their life. They took out their weapon, they shot, and then ultimately killed that person who was driving the car. And then medical attention was given immediately, Kira. All of this coming as ICE officers face a 1,000% increase in threats against them. And it's something certainly that has garnered the attention of officials at DHS headquarters here in Washington.
So you actually were on this exclusive ride along with ICE officers this week. Tell us about that.
Well, Kira, what we saw this week was targeted enforcement operations as part of this Midway Blitz, Operation Midway Blitz, which is at enhanced immigration enforcement there in the city of Chicago. We saw ICE officers and agents from ATF look at a particular person, conduct an investigation into where this person could be. Then they conducted what's called targeted immigration enforcement. Now, that target wasn't there, but they did arrest 3 other individuals who they say are members of a Venezuelan gang. They all in the country illegally, is what I said. And we saw kind of the whole process play out in front of us. And they say it's all part of this enhanced immigration enforcement, not only in Chicago, but in Boston now as well.
All right. Our Luke Barr. Appreciate it, Luke. Thanks.
Thank you.
An officer fatally shot a man during immigration arrest in Illinois. ICE officials say the man resisted arrest and tried to drive his vehicle toward officers. According to investigators, that's when one officer was hurt. In response, another officer fired his weapon. Both the man and that officer were taken to the hospital. The man later died and the officer is in stable condition. Officials say a full investigation into the incident is underway.
The man was shot and killed during an immigration traffic stop in Chicago today, and the deadly encounter was captured on surveillance video. This comes as the Trump administration announced Operation Midway Blitz, which Homeland Security officials say targets undocumented immigrants in Illinois with criminal records.
KTLA's John Finolio joining us live. He's in the newsroom with the latest on this. John?
Sandra, Micah, that's right. Surveillance cameras captured this deadly encounter. It shows the moments the man tried to get away from ICE officers before he was shot and killed. ICE says he was in the country illegally and had a history of reckless driving. But new reporting suggests his past may have only included a few traffic violations. Immigrant rights advocates say ICE's aggressive tactics are terrifying Hispanic communities.
Surveillance video shows the moment ICE officers pull over a man in a Chicago suburb Friday morning. Officers approach the car on either side. Then one of them appears to try and open the front passenger door. The man then reverses as the officer on the driver's side appears to hang onto the car as it begins to pull away, prompting one of the officers to open fire. At least 2 gunshots are heard as the car accelerates. The Department of Homeland Security alleges the man resisted arrest and attempted to drive into officers, dragging one of them a significant distance. DHS says the officer feared for his life and shot the man. Witness photos show ICE officers tending to the mortally wounded man, who was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. He's been identified as 38-year-old Silverio Villegas Gonzalez from Mexico. DHS describing Villegas Gonzalez as a, quote, criminal illegal alien who was the subject of a targeted operation. KTLA's sister station, WGN, reports that according to court records, Villegas Gonzalez's only prior cases have been for traffic violations, including driving on an expired license, operating an uninsured vehicle, and speeding. The deadly incident comes as ICE ramps up immigration enforcement operations in the Chicago area in what the agency calls Operation Midway Blitz.
And the reality is that ICE is endangering the community with these tactics. They are indiscriminately targeting people, Latinos specifically, based on their race and ethnicity.
Meantime, President Trump announcing today he's deploying the National Guard to Memphis to curb violent crime. The president says he has the support of Tennessee's Republican governor. Memphis's Democratic mayor says he did not ask for the Guard and doesn't believe it's the way to drive down crime.
In a statement, ICE says that officer in Chicago followed his training and used appropriate force. The agency says the officer who was dragged suffered severe injuries, but is in stable condition. In the newsroom, John Fenolio, KTLA 5 News.
Thank you, John.
The investigation continues tonight after a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot and killed a suspect near Chicago. Investigators say the suspect tried to evade arrest earlier today by driving his car at officers, at one point dragging one of them. The Department of Homeland Security says the officer felt like his life was threatened and then opened fire. Federal agents have been ramping up immigration enforcement activity all week as part of what the Trump administration is calling Operation Midway Blitz.
The family of the man shot and killed by an ICE officer tells me he was a father from Mexico working at a restaurant in the Portage Park area and has lived in the United States for decades. His shooting death sparking outrage. Dozens of immigrant advocates create a defiant stance in northwest suburban Franklin Park, where an immigration and customs enforcement operation turned deadly. This after the Department of Homeland Security confirms an ICE agent shot and killed Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, a man who the agency says was an undocumented immigrant with a criminal history of reckless driving.
I will miss him and I hope he's resting well.
But to his girlfriend and stepdaughter, who asked us not to show their faces, he was a working 38-year-old father of 3 from Mexico, who's lived in the United States for more than 20 years. His girlfriend's daughter translating her heart-wrenching words.
He was a calm guy. He respected people and he doesn't get into problems with anyone.
Cell video obtained by ABC7 shows the moment when ICE officers removed the man from his crashed car near Grand and Elder Lane. We've frozen the video as it's too graphic to show.
He got hole on his head and bleeding. So the both men, they tried to help and cover with a band-aid his neck.
According to ICE, this happened while its agents were trying to stop the man's car before he resisted arrest and allegedly hit one of their officers while trying to drive away. That officer, the agency says, then fired shots, striking Villegas Gonzalez, who later died at the hospital. DHS saying in a statement in part, quote, "We are praying for the speedy recovery of our law enforcement officer. He followed his training, used appropriate force, and properly enforced the law to protect the public and law enforcement."
Look, without a doubt, there's massive racial ethnic profiling that's taking place, and it's shameful.
Congressman Chuy Garcia of Illinois' 4th District speaking at the scene with other politicians shortly after flying from the nation's capital.
It should not be a deadly consequence to have a traffic violation.
Governor J.B. Pritzker calling the deadly encounter, quote, troubling, saying that the people of Illinois deserve to know what happened. As for the ICE agent who shot and killed the man, authorities say that officer sustained multiple injuries and is listed in stable condition.
Tonight, a local community is demanding answers after a deadly confrontation during an immigration operation today in Franklin Park. The Department of Homeland Security says an agent killed a man after they say he resisted arrest and dragged the officer with his car. NBC5's Randy Gyllenhaal is live at the scene. He's got new reaction from the man's family. Randy, what'd they say?
Well, they are grieving tonight, a vigil and a memorial growing here behind me. The FBI is investigating. ICE says one of their agents was injured during this confrontation, feared for his life, and shot and killed this undocumented immigrant. Today, protesters gathered here where it happened, and the family, who says he was a father of two who just dropped his kids at school. A furious crowd tonight in Franklin Park, and the devastated family of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, shot dead by a federal agent during a morning traffic stop.
Justice for Silverio, because he did not deserve this. It should not be a deadly consequence to have a traffic violation.
Homeland Security said the suspect refused officer commands and dragged and injured an ICE agent with his car. Now it has bloodstains as the agent fired at least 2 gunshots, according to this surveillance video. The government said the agent followed his training, used appropriate force, and properly enforced the law. Gonzalez's girlfriend said the 38-year-old was originally from Mexico. He worked here as a chef, had 2 young children. It is unclear why he was stopped.
A basis for his being pulled over this morning, he had just dropped off 2 children at a local school.
Congressman Chuy Garcia wants to see the original warrant and body cam footage.
Racial ethnic profiling that's taking place, and it's shameful. It's racism, it's discriminatory, and it is selective.
And he's warning holiday revelers this weekend given the increased ICE activity.
We are urging people to celebrate intelligently, to do it with dignity, because the whole country and the world is watching what happens here in Chicagoland.
Well, Homeland Security said Gonzalez had a history of reckless driving. However, a search of nearby court records found no criminal history. Natalie?
Good morning. This is Morning Sky. I'm your host, Sky. Now, what we just saw was the complete confusion and utter disgusting acts perpetrated by ICE agents. They had no right. They had no right. They're not. They may have police on their body, on their various gear, but they're not police, and they need a warrant to search people. They need a warrant to search private property such as houses and vehicles. This gentleman, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, was 38 years old. They just explained that he had children. He had a girlfriend. He was living in America for over 20 years. Let me see. That's about 20 years. Yeah, okay. So no incidents of terroristic activity, no contagious diseases, no criminality. It seems like he belonged here to me. He was a chef at a local restaurant. I don't. He needed to be detained because he had a speeding ticket or 2, or was reckless driving. All that needs is correction in the DMV system. Not to promote the DMV, but just it's as simple as that. He could take a test. He could have to pass certain requirements for driving, something like that. But he didn't have to lose his life. That's on one hand. On the other hand, I am against the Latino community for making this into a racial or nationalistic idea. This has nothing to do with race, and it has nothing to do with anything. It's about ICE brutality, not even police brutality, ICE brutality. Make that the notion, not the fact that they're just targeting, in which in some cases there are. I'm not going to deny the fact that there are cases where brown people have been targeted for their skin color or their hairstyle or whatever. Them having a red, white, and green flag with it. I think it's an eagle in it. Was it? This is just mess. This is just a mess. And I think the representative Jesus Chuy Garcia, he's trying to get, score points. It seems like he's trying to, address to the crowd, trying to get them, calmed and riled up at the same time. It seemed like he was like trying to do both. I don't know how he was trying to manage that, but it seemed like he was trying to do both. The entire situation is completely devoid of all reason. Where's the reason? Where's the rationality that should come of this? It seems like pure emotion. I saw, as you saw in the clips, one of the clips showed the car and going in reverse and then going forward again, going into drive. That just shows that he was apparently afraid for his life himself. He had no weapon on him. He was completely unarmed. That should be the basis, not the fact that he was Hispanic. That should not be the case at all. The main drive should be about him being an undocumented worker, keyword worker, not just somebody that wants to just sit home and collect checks from various government organizations. Not someone that is not ambitious and wants to do something with his life. No, this person, Mr. Gonzalez, had the idea of being a productive individual. And he was for 20 years. 20 years. I mean, come on. You become an American citizen by then. But I think he had to have the right credentials to become an American citizen. But it takes time. Dr. Jerome Brook once said, it should be easy to come over to America and hard to become an American. If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what he said. It takes years sometimes. It takes just under a decade or a little bit over a decade sometimes to become a naturalized American citizen. And that's proper. That's proper. But he obviously didn't have the opportunity to do that because he didn't have the proper documentation to back up his status as an immigrant to the United States. So I think with ICE, they just got to go away. Just go away. Police, I'm all for. Rock on police. Go police. Do not defund the police. Fund the police. Encourage and support the police. You already do. In your taxes, you're paying for the police. So you might as well continue to support them morally and ideologically. It's just tragedy. It's a tragedy all the way around. They're saying that the cops, well, did I even call them cops? Are they really cops? ICE. I'll just call them ICE. ICE, were claiming that one of their officers was, and that's another thing. Are they officers? One of their agents, I guess, was dragged, and I didn't see that, but I can apparently put two and two together. It looked like the car did, carry on without ceasing until it finally did come to a stop. The car was riddled with broken. There were shards of glass in the vehicle from the gunfire. There was blood on the side of the door. It's just a shame. This is a really sad shame because, like I said, I've been saying this all along. Welcome to the party. Welcome to this party. We got mass shootings happen back to back to back to back to back without any, forewarning or understanding. I think that the amount of mass shootings for the year have already been in the hundreds. Come on in. We got stick-up kids, corrupt cops, and crack rocks. We got our problems. We have our issues. But this is still the shining city on the hill, despite all that. Most crime peaked during the COVID-19. That's when it peaked. Before it was flat. It was going down. A lot of it was decreasing. It peaked in 2020. and then it leveled off again, and then I think it's starting to spike some more. It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing because even if the spike were true, even if that were the facts, that doesn't mean that you go after people that you not even suspect, but you just guess that people are of the ilk of illegal activity. They may not be illegal in person, but they're not engaged in illegal activity. And I would even say for drugs, I'm all about legalizing scheduled drugs, every scheduled drug, cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, the whole shebang bang, everybody, everything. I would still say that they should go to be processed, even if they have it, because it's on the books now. It's like that's another sad shame. It's like it's on the books now, but it shouldn't be. That's the reality. That's how sad this whole situation really is. Because we have another dead father, we have another dead companion, and there seems to be no end in sight for this. ICE has become like napalm, like just sticks to everything and just engulfs it with fire. That is the true nature of this particular organization, and they have that within them. They have that within them. They have that special power, being brought up by the President of the United States of America to show that they're really about changing the landscape of criminality. What I mean by that is they're showing that people that are just and peaceful and relatively understandable, they have that ability to suppress. ICE does suppress, and it's a regression really on all our parts, that we're going backwards instead of charging forward with freedom, with liberty, and all the great things that this country stands for. That's the exact reality that we have to live with. And it's difficult for people to understand that, because it's like, especially with brown people, this is the weird thing anyway, because it's like, you can't call them Spanish. Spanish is a totally different thing. I'm not English. I don't look like King William, or excuse me, King Charles or Prince William. I don't look like them, but I speak English. Same thing goes with people Hispanics in this country. They're not Spanish. Spanish people will look down upon them. They'll be like, "You're not Spanish." So that's just another thing, because I mean, it just happened to be a man of Mexican descent, just by coincidence. They're not. I don't know if they said they were targeting him. They were like, you're really using information against him to see if he was actually part of it. But that just shows you how people are so up in arms about, oh, ICE is great, ICE is wonderful, we're getting rid of them. Well, you get rid of the immigrants, you start to see a plummet in the overall idealism of a country. This country is all about it's all about immigrants. Everybody immigrated here, even the Indians, even the people that say, "Oh, this is our land first." Okay, maybe, but you didn't have complete property rights. You didn't know about individual rights. You didn't know about thoughts. You were warring factions, warring nomadic tribes that were killing each other for centuries. And so the white man came, civilized you, brought this country into one of the greatest, possible, white and brown, and I guess maybe a few black, but they don't really talk about them. But you'll find on an Instagram page somebody saying like, "Did you know that there was a Gula Magaga or something? Somebody with an African name that discovered parts of America before Columbus or something." I'm just giving you an example. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, Ellis Island, Jamestown, 1619, various, understanding, very complete in weird ways of expressing ourselves through the power of, really investigating our history. That is the key. That is the key. You have to look at what happened. A lot of people have signs up that say they came for the immigrants first. That's an illusion. That's a thought expressed to the Nazi occupation in Germany. They went towards the immigrants first. But I don't think that's going to happen in America. America's going to, it's going to be looking like we're down in the first quarter, but then we come back in the second quarter, then we're down again, and at halftime, we come out of the locker room and we're charging and we win in the third and fourth quarters. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I pretty much know is going to happen, because right should always win over wrong every time, no matter what. Despite the fact that things look so bleak and utterly repulsive in a lot of ways, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What we have to focus on is the fact that, ICE agents, minus them, get them out of these situations. Police have more authority. They have the authority, and they have better training. They have better understanding of relations with people. And the sad thing is that Gonzalez didn't know a lot of English. Well, that could have been his fault. It could have been his fault. It could have been his demise. And I usually say comply or die from Mr. Choice Star Terrain. Comply or die. He didn't comply, so he got dispatched. He was out of here. So that's the whole notion of being able to understand the difference between what is right and what is wrong. That's the serious part about all of this, is that we can argue all day back and forth and say, oh, well, immigrants shouldn't be here because if they're illegal, they shouldn't. That's cute. That's very cute. But it doesn't give the full picture. It doesn't give the full understanding. It doesn't give the full idealism. It doesn't give the full participation of all the different law enforcement organizations. And I think ICE is obviously on the lowest rung of all of them. Like when they showed photos of them, covering their faces, it's like, really, you shouldn't even come an ICE. Why are you even an ICE operative or agent if you're going to cover your face? You should cops. I don't even know if that's in the law. I think that's in their bylaws. They can't cover their face. I don't think in certain circumstances they can. If they're doing like a raid or something like that, or some siege. Some legitimate siege, legitimate raid of a house or something like that. I think they can cover their face. But ICE agents, they're just in broad daylight, just going down the street with masks over their faces. Like, is that cowardice or what is that? It's pretty disturbing. But Mr. Gonzalez is no longer here. He's gone up to be in the bosom of Abraham. I'm an atheist, so I'd say that, tongue in cheek. So that is the quick understanding of where we are as a society in America, where we are as human beings, and where we are as thoughtful individuals. I'm just looking up right now. Okay, here we go.
NATO launched a new plan to improve its defenses along its eastern flank with Russia after Russia's unprecedented incursion of drones into NATO member Poland earlier this week. Also today, the Trump administration presented to Europe a new package of economic punishments against Russia designed to be imposed by both the U.S. and Europe. Nick Schifrin's been following this all today and joins me now. So, Nick, let's start with NATO's new plan. What did the alliance announce today?
It's called Eastern Sentry, and it's designed to extend from the far north up to from the top of Finland all the way down to Bulgaria on the Black Sea. The idea is to have more integrated air defense, better information sharing, and new assets. France is sending transport planes, including one that landed in Poland tonight, as well as fighter jets. Denmark and Germany will also send jets, and this will all be under the control of NATO and its top commander, American General Alexis Grinkovich, who spoke today in Brussels.
The key to this is an entirely new defense design. This is going to be a comprehensive and integrated approach. And with additional resources, we'll be able to plug gaps in the line. We'll be able to concentrate forces where we need to defend at a moment of a particular threat. And we'll have much better communication across the entire eastern flank.
Now, a lot of this has existed before, Amna, but Grinkovich acknowledged that NATO still needs to learn lessons that they should learn from Ukraine, from the war in Ukraine, how Ukraine and Russia are fighting, especially trying to create a new way to shoot down relatively cheap drones with a new version of a drone wall or something like that, rather than using billion-dollar jets in order to shoot down drones. But the fact is, Polish authorities say 19 Russian drones crossed from Belarus and Russia into Poland over 7 hours. And that is a sign that the alliance as a whole politically has failed to convince Russia that it would pay any price for this kind of incursion, argues Heather Connolly of the American Enterprise Institute.
I think it was a success that multiple NATO countries met the test. But the fact that Russia even tried this means our deterrence in some ways failed. And NATO needed to have this early sentry, Eastern Sentry, 2.5 years ago when the first debris fell on Polish territory.
Conley and others see this as a major purposeful Russian incursion to test NATO planning and resolve.
Nick, even within the alliance, there does seem to be some disagreement about Russia's intentions here. What should we know about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Polish authorities have insisted that this was purposeful, citing those facts about the incursion that I said before. But President Trump said yesterday that drones could have been fired at Ukraine and then somehow diverted because of jamming.
Could have been a mistake. Could have been a mistake. I hear that what happened, as you know, where they were taken down and they went a little berserk. But regardless, yes, I would condemn even for being near that line. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it.
A senior U.S. and senior NATO official tonight tells me, Amna, that there is no definitive proof that Russia intentionally flew the drones into Poland. But there is also simultaneously no proof that they thought it was a mistake. And so, bottom line, the Poles are convinced, though. Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland, doubled down today on X, writing, quote, "We would also wish that the drone attack on Poland was a mistake, but it was not, and we know it."
We also noted, Nick, this new package of economic punishments to be imposed by both the U.S. and Europe against Russia. What is that?
So this is a meeting that happened today between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and his counterparts from the G7, the 7 leading industrialized economies in the world. And G7 officials tell me that there's a U.S. proposal to try and punish Russia with the U.S. and the rest of the world. That is, that the G7 must immediately impose a 50 to 100% tariff, secondary tariff on China and India, for their purchases of Russian crude oil, use hundreds of billions of dollars of Russian frozen assets to finance Ukraine, sanction Russian energy giant Rosneft, Russian banks, and a so-called shadow fleet of ships that Russia uses to move oil and gas, and to more quickly end the import of Russian energy imports into Europe. Earlier today, President Trump appeared in Fox News' studio and was asked his vision for how to punish Putin.
Does your patience run out with Putin?
Yeah, it's sort of running out and running out fast, but it does take two to tango. Putin is a question mark, but we're going to have to come down very, very strong.
What is clamping down on Vladimir Putin?
Well, it'll be hitting very hard with sanctions to banks and having to do with oil and tariffs also.
But here's the problem. President Trump has threatened these tariffs before and not followed through. And crucially, there is no sign the U.S. is willing to impose the penalty on China, specifically that is asking the rest of the world to actually take. And so a senior European official tells me that that is their read as well, that the U.S. isn't willing to take that step on China. And so this official sees this more as negotiating tactics than the final U.S. demand on.
All right, Nick Schifrin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm probably gonna do another video about that, but I just thought that the general of the Air Force, Kurzenwich, I missed his name again. Let me make sure I get his name right.
It's obsolete, and we're paying too much money.
You know, we're protecting.
So there's been an ongoing story.
NATO launched a new
area better in threats, and this
is an entirely new defense design. This is going to be a entirely
Grinkovich, Alexis Grinkovich, who spoke today.
Alexis Grinkovich. I have to make sure I get his name right. General Alexis Grinkovich. He's like, hey, if y'all want to play, y'all can play, but we have to know history. Where was the first? What country was first invaded by Hitler? Hitler invaded which country first? I'm gonna just give it away. Poland. Poland was the first country to invade for Hitler's invasion. The Prime Minister of Poland is saying that it's nice to say that you guys thought you're not saying whether it was a mistake or not. We know it wasn't a mistake, and they're probably gearing up. I think they showed the jets, and the planes landing from France and different fighter jets, getting ready to do whatever is possible, because Putin is just a basket case in a lot of ways. He's just completely detached from reality. He doesn't have any position. It's a sad shame our own president, Donald Trump, is an admirer of him, even though he's secretly, he said he's a secret admirer, I think, because in press he's, yes, we will introduce tariffs and we will introduce stiff sanctions against Poland, and that's cute. You didn't really back it up before. You said this previously. You didn't do much about it. So those are kind of telltale signs that show that NATO ought to be vigilant and ever prepared for an attack, a full-on attack by Russia against Poland or any other of the 50 surrounding locations, territories, and states that are governed in that region. It just reeks of complete global domination from a few. You have Putin, you have Xi, and you have whatever his name, Kim. It doesn't matter. He's a butcher. They're all butchers. So I think that we have to analyze the various components of this specific war. This war's been going on for over 2 years now. I think, was it 3 years now? I think it's 3 years. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2022. It's been 3 years. Whoa, 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 whoa! I didn't even check the goddamn comments. What's going on? Holy Moses! They just appeared. I think, or I wasn't even looking at them or something, but I'm looking at them now. So Cougar Comp says LLC, if they don't want to leave peacefully, oh well. If you threaten to take guns from whites, I bet they will police themselves and mass shootings will stop. ICE will amp up for Charlie. I support ICE. I don't support ICE. Good morning, Scholar Gang. Good morning to you, Cougar. Salute to you. Salute. We Spanish conquistadors. ICE, ICE, baby. America, that's death row. Salute to death row. America needs its eyed back. I don't know what you mean. It's what back? At least speak the language of the land without a disgusting accent. Me no black, I am Dominican. ICE needs more power. Illegal means not legal. Not according to laws of the United States of America. Okay. I can agree with you on those levels. I see what you're saying. I disagree with you on the ICE part. I disagree with you on ICE. But NATO, you know the NATO issue, that's what we're talking about now. NATO needs to assert itself. It needs to be at the forefront for defense against against Russia and its insurgency against Poland. It needs to have its own positioning ready. It needs to be a force in readiness to prevent these kinds of quote unquote mistakes, these quote unquote mishaps that go on because of Russia's inability to see reality. That's all it is. It's really boils down to Russia's inability to see the truth. That's why they've been attacking for all this time. That's the reality of it. So let me put this back up on there, and let me get my sponsors. Go to visit to focus _ DOTFOCUS1_ on his YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and comment. If you enjoy Call of Duty and other first-person shooters, you will not be disappointed. Tell him that Silly Sky sent you. He's looking for the pink mist. And make sure you enjoy his gameplay. Also, visit lifestrongapparel.com for your raw CMOS needs. Also, after making your selections, type in SKYLER20 Scholar20 as a promo to receive 20% off your purchases. Tell Mr. Peng Silly Sky sent you. And I can vouch for his CMOS products. I've had the CMOS. It's kind of like it's almost like a jelly. It's very good. It's extremely delicious. He has other things. He has snapbacks. He's got gel. He's got treats for the dogs. You can just check out his site. Just make sure you go to his site, lifestrongapparel.com. Also, go to Beha Jackson's YouTube page and subscribe to learn more about sardines on the grill, fried chicken, near beer, and female strippers. Tell him Silly Sky sent you. He's a former child actor. He played the younger version of Doughboy in the monumental film Boys in the Hood. So make sure you check out his page. Make sure you get his subscriptions up. Make sure you get those subscriptions up and enjoy that. Okay, let me see if I can get another. Oh boy, Iman and Napoleon, IFG. I don't know what is it, LFG or what is it, IFG or LFG? I don't know what that means, Iman. You gotta explain yourself a little bit more. I'm not sure what that means. You got to explain yourself. But anyway, NATO should definitely be an organization that protects instead of goes against the ideals of the world. Really, it should be selfish. It should be self-interested. It should be about protection. It should be about defense. Okay, you put an A on my name. That's okay. From the Star Report. Oh, okay, got you. It's ER, by the way, SKYLER. And make sure you subscribe and tell everybody else to subscribe. I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. It's crazy. No, it's all good. I understand. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying. But NATO, if it is a proper organization, it should be all about defending the rights and property, individual rights and property of the citizens surrounding that region. Russia saying that they haven't really, I don't know if did they make it. I missed that in the video if they made it a statement, but the prime minister of Poland said, we know it was not a mistake. They know history. That's like saying, Hitler, he just wanted to stop by. He just wanted to come through the streets and see what was going on and happening. He just wanted to see what was popping, shaking, and moving. Speedy in the house. Salute to you, Speedy. Got 4 people in here popping. Gross, Grossi. You guys, I have no idea what you're saying. What is gross? I don't know what that means. You gotta explain yourself, Speedy. You guys gotta do a lot better. If I'm gonna read your chat, you gotta explain yourself a little bit better. There have been too many instances of mistaken, quote unquote, ordnance being dropped and different places being bombed and things of that nature. What are you doing, Russia? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you trying to flex? Are you trying to show your muscle across not just Ukraine but Poland and other states? What is this? What is this kind of psychological warfare as long as with actual physical brutality and war? What's going on? Let me know. Somebody's going crazy outside. I don't know what that is. All right. They're doing work. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Can you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear it. But I'm not your bro, Iman. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, but I'm not your bro. And you say, oh, yeah, what do you say? Will do. Yeah, he will do. And I'll see. It's the same amount of subscribers I had the last time. Yep, same amount of subscribers. Didn't change. He didn't hop right onto it. That's fine. Yeah, so all those nations that comprise NATO definitely, years ago. It's going. I think it's been 3 years. I can't remember. Let me make sure because I'm talking crazy right now. I think it's been 3 years. So I'm looking it up. Yep. 3 years, 7 months. 3 years. This war has been going on. So I'm just checking it, see what happens. But I think with the just war theory, the hands behind, tie behind your back. You can only approach people if they're not civilian. You can only shoot people that aren't civilian. This is war. Kill them all. And there is no God, but let God sort them out. I like that phrasing. Like the clips, what the album, the group Clips created as an album name. Let God sort them out. Now there is no God, but just the meaning of that phrase is that saying like just mow them all down and then just say the rest later. It's the same thing with was it kick ass and take or shoot and ask questions last, kick ass and take names, kind of thing like that. Those kind of ideals. It's very engrossing and very powerful when you come down to it. Very powerful. That's what I enjoy most about history, because if you can, like Ayn Rand once said, I'm going to paraphrase, I'm going to chop up her words, but she said essentially, if you know history, you can predict, future events just by knowing history. Because I want to say it was Mark Twain, it's probably somebody different, but they said history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. It's like the same thing doesn't happen over and over again. It just seems like it's the same thing, and the same kind of rhythm, same kind of idealism encapsulated in that expression. To take apart, all the different, ideals that go along with being a in the United States, and which is pretty much the leader, like the sole superpower of NATO. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You saw the general. I'm not going to pronounce his name right. I'm just going to say general in the Air Force. He outlined it pretty blankly. Clearly. Russia's not going to interfere with any other nation, and it's going to stop its barrage of weaponry against Ukraine. And if any other of the other nations within NATO protect Poland and all its assets and everything that it is connected to, the same should go for Ukraine. Now, am I correct or am I messed up? Is Ukraine part of NATO or not? I can't remember. Let me look that up. I'm looking it up now. Still looking it up. Thank you for waiting for me. Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Thank you. Thank you, Politics Talk. Appreciate that. But it is a partner country that cooperates closely with the alliance. NATO and its member countries provide extensive political and military support to Ukraine, especially since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. So they're still not part of NATO, Ukraine. But NATO is kind of siding with Ukraine in its efforts to protect itself against the bombardment of Russia. Politics Talks, are you subscribed to this channel? Make sure you subscribe and tell somebody else to subscribe too. I'd appreciate it. If you want to see more talk like this, you want to see more engagement with ideas from an objective perspective, make sure you tell people, to subscribe. You should subscribe yourself. I deeply would appreciate it. Okay, yes, you are. Thank you. Thank you. Now make sure you tell other people, tell your friends, hey, there's a silly nigga named Sky. He's got some wild thoughts. He's crazy, but he can he can string a sentence together. He can say a few words on the topic and broadcast that. So appreciate it, Politics Talk. But yeah, so it's getting on my nerves. So let me say who. It's not a hard name, but it's just very unique. It's getting on my nerves. Alexis Grinkowicz. Alexis Grinkowicz. I have family, no friends. Well, tell your family. That's similar to me too. Tell your family. Tell your uncle. Tell your auntie. Tell your sister. Tell your cousins. Hey, you gotta look at this goofy nigga named Sky. He's crazy, but he's got some points to make. That's all you gotta say. General Alexis G. Grinkowicz assumed command of Allied Command Operations on July 4, 2025. Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. A role responsible for all NATO military operations. In addition to his NATO duties, General Grinkowicz also serves as the commander of the U.S. European Command. I hope it's not Grinkowick. Sometimes they have Grinkowicz and then they have Grinkowick. I'm not sure about it. So, but the guy in the clip said Grinkowicz, so I'm just going by him. So, I mean, this is. I would love to tie ICE with NATO together, but I don't think I can do that. I don't have the backing. I would need to study more. Compare, contrast, these organizations. What's needed, what's not. ICE isn't needed. For the most part, NATO is. I mean, they're the closest thing, The UN doesn't have to exist. The United Nations is a horrible, abominable organization. They equate Iran with the United States of America. They give them equal platform sharing. That should not be. That's horrific. That's evil. But NATO, I don't have too many problems with NATO. NATO doesn't seem too much of an issue that is negative. I don't think so. So, it just, we live in a ball of confusion by the temptations. No, it's just a strange kind of idea that we have. Very strange. Very weird set of principles that we have to abide by. It's weird. It's hard to understand in some circumstances. But the best part about it is you can always find out different information and learn on your own. Be selfish, be rational. And I thank you all for watching. Take care.